And welcome back to Block TV, where it is time for Pump or Dump, looking at the dominant news narratives of the week that was and seeing if we agree or disagree with the agenda, meaning whether we pump it or dump it. And to do that, I am joined, as every week, by Block TV's crack team of reporters, starting with none other than the tech maven, Ron Spitzer. Yes. The boy that is the joy, Zachy Hennessy. None other than regulation mama, Whitney Deal. And of course, we cannot do that without the black hat himself, Yona Hochhauser, the man with the hardest last name to pronounce. Okay, each one of you, we got 2 rounds, as you know, 2 rounds, 1 minute to state your case, and then we debate if you're right or wrong or whether we should drop it. There will be prizes at the end one day. Okay, we are starting with Whitney. Your minute starts now. Wait, Whitney.
Okay. So we're going to dump the price fluctuations of Bitcoin. Sorry. It's like a roller coaster, and I don't like roller coasters. Never been to Six Flags. Bye. Then we're going to talk about, but we're going to pump Naughty Virgil and the Rocket Man. Ethereum research scientist Virgil Griffith has been arrested for violating U.S. sanctions law for traveling to North Korea to deliver a presentation on blockchain technology that will help North Korea evade sanctions. I don't know how in-depth this information was. Apparently he wasn't supposed to go. He made it in there. Don't know how he made it in there. But he's been charged with conspiring to violate the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which carries a maximum 20-year prison sentence. They're worried that the information that he provided could help North Korea launder money and fund weaponry.
Okay. What? I have a question before we debate this. Was his talk, do we know, or is that too early because it's yet to be reported on, was his talk titled Blockchain Technology to Evade Sanctions?
That's the rumor going around. Pyongyang blockchain and cryptocurrency conference.
He actually snuck into North Korea. He just hid inside one of the Macy's Day Parade floats. And
or,
then when they set them loose at the end of the parade, they just fly off and then land in North Korea.
Or he posted this on January that he was going in April. He even asked people if they wanted to join.
He's part of the, he's part of the Ethereum, but he wasn't there on their behalf. Part of the Ethereum research.
He was there, I'm pretty sure he was there as just
him
alone.
Yeah, needless to say, he was also arrested just this week. I think while trying to enter the United States. Correct. And 20 years is the higher than that.
I think there's a double standard here against crypto. Classic that U.S. government's against crypto again, because Dennis Rodman, the former basketball player, has gone again and again, very publicly, go to North Korea. He was teaching them a mean lefty layup to possibly avoid sanctions.
But he's an American spy. And Virgil, I'm kidding, this is like a joke. But theorizing
that's a very valid point.
How come Dennis gets to go all the time and very publicly and they haven't done anything against
What's that
him?
movie with Seth Rogen where they go into...
There
you go, the interview. It's that style thing. They went in knowing.
So we agree this story should be pumped like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, they're making him a scapegoat for something.
Pumped like there's no tomorrow. The guy, what did you think was going to happen, dude? Like, you posted a whole, even if it was a joke, you posted it on Twitter, you laughed about it. Don't like me.
Now we're moving on.
When I'm angry.
That said, I mean, that's a whole debate of if you post something on Twitter, is that actually, a piece of evidence in court? And can you base an entire case on it? Who knows? But we are moving on. And first of all, you win this round.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Whitney. As a reminder, there will be prizes at the end. We're moving on to Zachy with vague terminology versus mainstream adoption. This should be interesting. Your minute begins now.
I hear the terminology all the time. Oh, we are approaching mainstream adoption. Yes, mainstream adoption is but around the corner. Let me ask you, the fuck does that mean? Because I hear it all the time. I've never heard a metric. I don't know the milestone. I don't know when we qualify. Oh, we hit mainstream adoption. We're always talking about it, but we don't know what it means. So my whole point is we need to suspend the use of vague terminology such as
Mainstream adoption.
Mainstream adoption.
Okay.
In other words, to dump it. And instead to pump a definition for such vague terms, such as the fuck is mainstream adoption? Because I don't know what it is, and I want to know. Everybody's talking about it. You got Libra is coming out. Oh, this is what's going to be the herald of mainstream adoption. Well, what? Is Rick and Morty mainstream adopted yet? I could go down to the Bay Area, get a T-shirt of it, see the graffiti on the wall, but you could also go and see that in Germany with Bitcoin. Is that mainstream adoption? I don't know.
I concur.
And listen, if the Maven concurs, but first of all, valid point. How much vague terminology, is that a problem in the sphere?
I think that it should go by the Bubby test or the grandmother. If your grandmother is able to use it, or even knows what it is, or if you even attempt to teach your grandmother, I think it's worthwhile to teach her. I think that's mainstream adoption.
So then Rick and Morty not mainstream.
I don't know. I mean,
Why?
That's like saying
People know
pornography
about it.
isn't mainstream because I am not teaching that to my grandmother.
Touche, my friend. I
Yes,
retract.
but
I
wait,
retract
wait,
my point.
but
I
that
want
is
to
not
give
the
Fiona
same
the
as
credit.
that she knows
Bubby's
about
a
it.
good, listen, Bubby's a good example. Once Bubby doesn't have to have blockchain explained to her, then there we have it. That will be mass adoption. Or in other words, we're nowhere near mass adoption. Would you agree?
I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
I
my
agree.
whole point is how the HE double hockey sticks would I ever know?
But it's kind of a double-edged sword, don't you think? Because if we leave it a little vague, then there's more room for interpretation.
And innovation.
Do we want
one would
people to
argue.
interpret?
Exactly. But maybe. Okay, it's developing.
Okay.
Okay, but then if we have a very set
Are we
outline
trying to
of
have
what
a
it
4,000-year-old
means-
transcript of the Torah? Like, what do we don't need interpretation.
Can you buy a Starbucks coffee with your Bitcoin? That's
Exactly.
Are you able to use it?
What is the use case? Moving ahead to, of course, it is now you, the Maven. You want to dump traders theorizing versus Bitcoin use case, which sounds suspiciously to me like the need for mass adoption. But okay, your minute starts now.
Right. So basically, traders are always theorizing, trying to figure out a metric, but really we're all just guessing at this point. And it's nice to guess, it's nice to theorize, but let's dump that for now and talk about Bitcoin's use case. Recently, Bitcoinist ran a
My
story.
heart bleeds for Joe Sales.
Ran a story on Wall Street, still doesn't get what Bitcoin might be used for. Basically, the takeaways are Bitcoin needs greater utility and that investors don't care about utility necessarily. Last week, we got to speak to Idosa Deman, who kind of said it very frankly and in an unfiltered and candid way. Let's take a look.
We need to all acknowledge a very simple truth and a very evident truth with all the love and appreciation one might have for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not money. It is not used as money. It is not used to transact, nor it is used to store value, discarding speculative attempts to store value. And I think that there are several root causes for Bitcoin not becoming money. One is time, definitely. I mean, the advocates of Bitcoin as money would claim that with time, with volume, it will become money.
He gets nicer towards the end. Is like, will it be digital gold? Maybe. Will it this? Possibly. But again,
this is the man behind the
speculation.
upcoming Saga coin, right?
Correct.
Okay.
He's the founder
Needless
of
to
Saga.
say, everybody has an agenda, but beautifully put, because basically what he says is Bitcoin right now is bullshit.
And he said it with all the love in the world, as you saw at the beginning. I didn't want to remove that from him. I didn't want to take it away from him.
No. I think you should have left it with him. What do we think, folks?
First of all, I respect you got to dump, but like traders theorizing, moderately important because that's what generates buzz. If ain't nobody
Generates
talking,
buzz. You said it. He
Yeah.
just agreed with me without knowing it.
What do you
Thanks,
mean?
Zaki.
What have I done?
Because it's generating buzz. That's the thing. We're theorizing with traders all day long. Where's the price going? Well, some guy with millions and millions of Bitcoin can just change it up on us in a second just because they decided. So really, we don't know what's going to happen because it's not an organic market. It's a
But
speculative
one can
market.
argue that that is the case with almost also traditional markets. They've just had a longer time to develop that, which is base it all on theories and then pump or dump those theories, and
Well,
that's how the market
theories and
moves.
rules that don't allow people to hold X amount of whatever, and the volatility aspect is different. There are certain set differences, and all I'm saying here is that it's great to hear what traders are thinking, but ultimately, look, we don't even have a use case. Nobody's talking about that fact that we don't have a use case.
I know, but people love astrology.
Yes, astrology is very nice. I like it. I'm a Virgo.
Mercury, by the way, retrograde.
I agree. I really agree with Oran here because what she said said something very important. That the difference between the traditional markets and this is that this isn't regulated. If I were trading a traditional stock and I was friends with the CEO and he called me up saying, "Yo, we're gonna make this big announcement. Buy, then the SEC will stop in and put us in jail. But with Bitcoin, if I'm a whale and I have my friend the whale, I could call him up and say, hey, I'm going to sell in 5 minutes. Sell all your things, and in 20 minutes, let's all buy together. There's nothing stopping that. They can manipulate the market however they want. Oran, you're exactly right.
Thank you.
So maybe mass adoption is regulation. Okay, we are moving now to, well, at the end of this first round, Yona, by the way, I won this. Yona, of course, with dump Binance offices, convince me, versus Plus Token. Your minute starts now.
Right. So all last week, we're speaking about the Binance offices and its possible connection to the dropping of the Bitcoin price. Everyone was all arguing over, was there Binance offices? No, was there not Binance offices? My point is, it does not matter. Let's say there was offices. The fact that China is against cryptocurrencies and shut down the office so that Binance was already moved most of the people to Singapore anyway, that doesn't matter at all. That is like a bureaucratical Chinese movement that either way is going to happen. Doesn't matter what's the official office. Doesn't matter if it's not. That does not matter. We know Chinese government's against cryptocurrencies. And by the way, whether that affects the market or not is also not, that's not what Joe says. That's external. That's not real technicals. That's how people think. What really affects the markets and what's real, Plus Token scam, which stole $3 billion with 187,000 Bitcoin that the Plus Token scam took. That's 1% of all circulating Bitcoin. Okay, that's what's driving the market down. That's not theoretical. That's real. That is 1% of Bitcoin that is stolen and that is driving price down.
First of all, thank you, Dovi. Yeah. Let's start with dumping the Binance offices story.
Yeah, I can't dump it. No, I can't dump it. I'm sorry.
What does it matter if it was office or not? Who cares?
I'm going to let her argue it, but I can back her up.
Because Binance is the biggest exchange by volume, and we take everything that they say not as a grain of salt. Every CZ post, every AMA is very like, oh, you guys are being so honest, and this just proves that they're just not being, you know what I mean? For better or for worse with this exchange, whether you like them or not, this proves that whatever is coming out, whatever information is coming out, isn't
not necessarily true.
Yeah, I never trusted them to begin with. That's your fault.
Yeah,
I never trust an exchange, baby. I never trust anyone. Like I said, if I'm ever trading Bitcoin, I keep it in a cold storage wallet in my pocket. I have my own keys. It's my crypto. And any exchange, I'm putting on an exchange just to get the best price and immediately take it.
But you're somebody who talks about illicit activity with Bitcoin all day long. Yeah. So of course you're extra cautious.
Yes,
people are not. And
what about Bubby? Easy. What about Bubby?
Oh, poor
yeah.
Bubby.
What about Bubby?
Until she can't figure out Binance, she can figure out anything. Yeah.
Look, I gotta say, if you're that big in the sphere, if people are that big, dare I quote Spider-Man, okay, or his uncle? Okay, folks, what's the line?
With great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben, may you rest in peace.
Thank you very much. I don't think, first of all, Plus Token, great story. Both should be reported, would be my 2 cents. And that said, Whitney, you were quiet, you win. Now.
I love this.
But we're going. Yeah, just like life, this makes no sense. Now, round 2 begins now, and we're going back to Whitney. Dump Black Friday versus noisy IRS. Your second minute begins now.
Great. Dumping Black Friday. In general, listen, I love the deals. I just don't agree with the fact that retail personnel need to be there and dealing with the hordes. It has nothing really to do with crypto, just dumping Black Friday.
Okay.
Because, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody had a fantastic
Christmas
holiday.
on the way, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, exactly. But we're going to pump the nosy IRS.
Nosy, pardon me.
Because, they just have their hands in everything. A California federal court has confirmed the validity of the IRS's request to data from Bitstamp in connection with an individual tax reporting case. There was a petitioner that sent a petition stating to the courts, stating that the IRS overstepped their boundaries in asking Bitstamp for his personal information when he said that he had overpaid on his taxes. And he said that their information requests are irrelevant. They already possess the information sought, and they violated the reasonable expectation of privacy.
Your minute was up.
I know,
I'm
sorry.
just saying, you just lost.
I lose.
Okay, what do we feel like? First of all, did you actually, did the IRS actually admit to overstepping their boundaries?
No. They didn't.
That's
the
what the
IRS will
petition
never.
I was about to
They've
say,
never
I thought
done
I was
it.
waiting for pigs to fly.
The California court said that they were valid on only one of the claims of the petitioner. The petitioner had 6 claims that the IRS violated him, And the California court said, okay, you're valid except for one.
Okay.
For one reason.
So if anything, I think that the valid part, like the fact that they said something was valid, should be pumped.
Well,
Whereas the whole-
exactly. The fact that they still upheld it and they said it's okay that the IRS
Right.
went and sought your information from this exchange, even though he knew that he had made a boo-boo and he went back like
Right.
some of us do when we
Right.
overpaid.
Otherwise, though, if I never hear about the IRS again in my life, I'll be
I'm okay
really
with
happy.
that
So
too.
if
I
you
know.
got something
I
good
know.
for a Black Friday sale, I'd be happy to hear about
I
it.
feel like
I
the
can't
IRS
because I
violates.
can't afford it. The IRS
Everybody
sees
respect.
everything.
They're speaking. Yes.
Sorry, I feel like the IRS violates me every time I look at my paycheck at the end of the month.
know,
I mean, I didn't know that I could go to court over that. Now this is crazy.
I think that dumping Black Friday is universally good. Embrace minimalism. You
Yes,
don't need to
in
buy
general,
it just
yes.
because it's on sale.
Thank you, Zach.
But with the pump or dump, let's talk about Black Friday.
Okay.
fair
Or, in other words, maybe McAfee is right. Never mind that. We are moving ahead now. It is your turn, my boy Zachy, with my cactus son versus
You don't have to know what it says.
Africa's mining problem. This should be fascinating. Your minute begins now.
Yes, observe Exhibit A, please, if you would. This is my cactus son. His name is Ibrahim, and he lives on my coffee table in my living room, and I love him very much. He is a very dry boy. He has a little wiggle in the middle from when he almost died and started to fall over, but then we nursed him back to health, so he just got a little skinny, and now he's back up. Anyways, he's great,
It's
but we
back
got
up. Unlike, well, almost like Bitcoin. Go ahead.
Now, he's very cool, and like everybody wants to talk about him all the time. I always come into work, people are like, how's Ibrahim? How's Ibrahim? So
Really?
we got to stop. We got to calm down. I want to talk a little bit about Africa's mining problem. So Africa is like one of the main up-and-coming areas that have a huge interest in Bitcoin. They're massively interested in Bitcoin. Every time I look at Google Trends with your boy Yona here, we always look at it and we always say Nigeria is like #1 on the charts. Africa makes up less than 10% total of Bitcoin mining hash rate, and we need to find a way to improve that number. I talked about my cactus for too long.
No. First of all, I want to say one thing about Ibrahim the cactus.
Yeah.
To you and your missus. Wait with children. No.
I didn't even know that I asked about Ibrahim that much. Thanks
Okay,
for bringing that
that
up.
said, we're going back to Africa. First of all, there's a very interesting point here because if the idea of cryptocurrency is to bank the unbanked, okay, Africa would be a phenomenal use case for that. Why don't we hear enough about Africa, indeed?
Africa's up and coming, man. Jack Dorsey's tweeting about it. Lots of folks
Jack
are.
Dorsey said would be the best use case for Bitcoin,
Yeah.
right? Why aren't we pumping that more?
I mean, I'd love to. I'm doing my best. I'm just saying, like, more people, we need to add this into the narrative that Bitcoin and Africa are like, peaches and cream, man. They need to be, stuck
But
together
not even
as often
Bitcoin
as
in
possible.
Africa. I feel like we don't talk about mining enough in this community. Like we talk about it in the context of electricity and consumption in that way, but whatever. Like I just read a piece, something about Georgia and how they're mining, like the money that's made from mining in the country is like insane, and so now they're talking about it in a more like regulatory / legislative way. And that's insane to me. Like that's how it's affecting the economy so much that you feel like you want to talk about it. Yet nobody's talking about mining. So thank you for pumping that.
And a
Becky.
big issue in Africa is that in many African countries, the cost of electricity is so high that they're not able to maintain, the cooling properties, even
Machines.
buying the machines and just using up the electricity. It's just all so expensive. So we need to find a solution. There needs to be a solution for these problems to enable, the African people who are
That's why
very
you're
interested.
the boy who is the joy, because Africa, irrespective, first of all, Bitcoin definitely should be far more reported. I have an inclination of knowing why it's not, but I'm going to leave that to you and the viewers.
Thanks for the drama.
There we go. No. And we're moving ahead to you, the maven that is also my favorite drama queen, with the block drama.
Right.
Brilliant. Versus
Yes.
2020 administration pro-crypto. Ooh.
Right. So basically.
Wait, your minute begins now.
Okay, so I mean, the block drama is what Yona was basically saying on the Binance offices, but now CZ saying he's going to sue the block over. I don't know. It's a whole shebangity bangy.
Has he sued already?
That
Has
not
he
that
sued
I've
already?
seen. He's
Okay.
probably not going to. It's
Because
probably
usually
a
when
bunch
you
of
sue,
BS.
you don't announce it. You just sue.
It's a
Go
bunch
ahead.
of bullshit.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of 2020 administration potentially being pro-crypto, we think about how everything is going now, and I'll explain. So
Yes.
we think about how everything is going now and things are underregulated, and perhaps that'll change for the better, for the worse. I'm not sure, but there was recently a story also on a CoinDesk story, basically saying that Bakkt CEO will potentially be asked to fill Georgia Senate seat in 2020. She was asked by Brian Kemp, supposedly, this is all speculative, until the special election in November of 2020. But that just means that people that are within the sphere or have the sphere in their minds could potentially be elected. Andrew Yang, we're talking about a lot. What does that mean for crypto? What does that mean for the space? Because that could go well, that could also go very poorly, assuming that we're highly regulated after that. Nobody's thinking about these things.
Qu'est-ce que tu dis? What do you guys say?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's always talking about like, oh, someday all the kids are going to grow up and go into office, and then they'll, finally understand how to regulate vines. But
Vine is dead.
sorry, TikTok.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I follow Andrew Yang on Twitter, and okay.
Yeah, this is the what I'm saying is this is the
No,
way,
there are certain tweets
this
that are
it's
like just
happening
like
a little bit. It's these millennials, these dang millennials you hear so much about, growing up and being like.
She's not a millennial, but okay.
She was at one point.
At one point, no.
No, she wasn't. Anyway, you know what I mean. It's the end more
Do you guys
shit
really
to the
think
thing.
that crypto will be part of the conversation the closer we get to the 2020 elections?
Not necessarily, but if people like Kelly Loeffler are elected into office, potentially, or people like Andrew Yang, maybe.
Or maybe the pump should be, why isn't crypto part of the 2020 conversation?
They need more lobbying.
'Cause it is
Crypto needs some
boring.
lobbying. The arms dealers, the gun shops have NRA, they got big lobbies. The cigarettes, all these evil people, they got lobbies. Where's the crypto lobby?
The reason that Mark
Look,
Zuckerberg was
Perry
asked
and
about
Boring
vaccines.
is not responsible for her last name. Go ahead.
But I'm saying the reason Zuckerberg was asked about vaccines in that Libra hearing
Because they
is the
don't
reason
know.
that they're not talking about
My
vaccines.
fear is, and I don't disagree, is that they'll be talking so much more about walls that there will be no time for crypto.
Right.
That said, we're going to move on because putting aside anything boring, Yona's next item is so ridiculously frightening. We're going to dump stomping on graves versus Cryptosphere save Twitter. That's a tall order. Your last minute begins now.
Yeah, I think we all could agree no one likes stomping on graves. But that's exactly what Twitter did, and probably not knowingly tried to pull off. See, Twitter recently announced that they are going to start deleting inactive Twitter accounts to free up usernames.
Because those might be bots.
Those might be bots. They might not be used.
I'm screwed.
But and that's actually a pretty good idea. I'm all for doing that. The issue that they didn't think of, and the issue that the Cryptosphere brought to light, is hey, what about all the people who unfortunately passed away, who obviously those accounts are inactive? They're going to be deleted. And some of those accounts, like Hal Finney was was the first mention. He wrote a tweet saying running Bitcoin. That in 2010, that was the first time Bitcoin was ever mentioned on Twitter. And these are some historic things. And so yes, while I agree that Twitter wants to delete unused accounts, the Cryptosphere, Jameson Lopp, CTO of Casa, he's called out Jack Dorsey, who is a crypto lover. And I must say, kudos to the Cryptosphere because they got Jack Dorsey's attention, and Twitter announced that they will delay the deleting of inactive accounts so they figure out what to do with historic and dead accounts. Kudos to Cryptosphere.
Okay, doesn't Facebook have some sort of an algorithm in
Yes.
place? When you die, then your
Don't you have to
becomes
prove?
like an in memoriam.
in
kind of-
memoriam,
Really?
your page
Yeah.
becomes
Oh,
in
does it?
memoriam.
Who tells Facebook that?
No, I think you have to prove. You have to provide a death certificate, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Seriously?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, but they have something in place when people start posting on that wall. It's miss you so much, yada yada yada. Or because at the end of the day, the point of the matter is, yes, it is a historical trail back. What about people who don't want their stuff kept? That should be put in their that should be put in their will.
Yeah, I mean,
delete my social,
yeah.
my footprint.
Okay. So much of the world's content is created and put on these social media platforms that they're essentially the history, how sad or positive it is, they're essentially the written history and the written record of
Or
2018,
just a good investigation.
2019.
Let me ask you this: do we think they're really deleting them?
Dun dun dun.
And whose decision is it to pick what gets deleted and what doesn't? These are big issues.
Okay,
But
exactly.
how come they can't know what's a bot and what's a real person? Like, shouldn't they know
Be
that?
able to, figure it out.
Okay,
We
all
think-
very good questions that we will be pumping throughout the next week. Ladies and gentlemen of the fighting press, I want to thank you so much for being here on Pump and Dumb. And we are BLOCKTV, and we'll be right back.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.